And welcome to another episode of the Browns Blitz. It's episode 17. It is Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd, 2019. I am here with my co-host, Rod Bloom. Rod, I hope you're enjoying a laborless day.
Oh, it's been nice, Sam. It's been a good weekend. Just having 3 days off, just kind of kicking back. Took a little trip to my sister-in-law's in Athens and just, it's a little family time, a little relaxation. It's been nice. How about you?
You're such a family man. You are a family man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know you got to the golf course at least once, right?
Yeah, I golfed Friday night, so that was good because I knew it was going to be busy over Labor Day weekend. Shot 6 over, so that wasn't bad. Not my greatest, not my best. Today's really thrown me off. Like I really, I'm used to working, 50 hours, 55 hours a week. And so I'm just really, really thrown off. And I almost feel like I need to work Saturday to catch up. So we'll see what happens with that. But no, just kind of laid back, did some meal prepping, did some grilling earlier. So I don't have to mess with that tonight. It's a little warm here, not too bad. Definitely have my thoughts and prayers for those that are dealing with Hurricane Dorian at this time in the Bahamas, and then those in Florida and South Carolina that are going to be dealing with that later this week. So definitely have them in our thoughts and prayers. But let's jump right in, Rod, to our segment, Blitz Beverage. You're Mr. Beer Man. What are you drinking right now?
Well, we were talking because I sent a tweet out about a Founder's Raspberry Ale. And I was going to talk about that because I had that earlier in the weekend, but you mentioned this a beat up Purple Haze. You said, that you don't like many beers, but you like this one. And I said, well, I have one of those in my refrigerator. So imagine that. So I got it out, and I think I had one of these years and years ago, but it's been a while. So it does have a nice kind of a subtle fruit flavor to it, which a while back, I really didn't like a fruity flavor in beer, but I've kind of my horizons have kind of opened up a little bit, and I like different types of beers now. Light, some dark. I'm open to different things, and this is a pretty good tasting beer.
Okay. I am sipping on. I know it's around 4:00 in the afternoon. It's a Kentucky Ale Coffee Barrel Cream. For those that know me, I'm really not a coffee guy for a number of reasons. One, specifically, I don't really like caffeine. But, that being said, I've kind of been on a coffee trend the other day. I've been eating like those chocolate-covered coffee beans. And again, I'm really not one for coffee, but something led me to this. I really like Kentucky ale. The bourbon barrel ale or whatever that this brewery makes. And so I saw this and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was a 6-pack, so I thought, well, what the hell. But I just took a drink of it while you were talking. It's okay. It's a darker beer. It's definitely got a coffee taste as expected. Not great, not terrible. So definitely drinkable on this labor.
Does the vanilla come through at all, or just kind of the coffee kind of blast?
Just the coffee, really.
Just the
coffee. Yeah. So for all you coffee people out there, I think you all would enjoy this, but it's fine, not a big deal. I definitely would prefer bourbon, but I thought it was a little bit too early today. So. All right, well, let's jump right in. We're going to kind of hit 3 spots, kind of make this really, really conversation style podcast today. Rod and I talk a number of times during the week, probably more than we should. But at the end of our last conversation, we were like, well, we could have just recorded a podcast because that's exactly what it sounds like. And so this is more the angle that I think that we'll try to go towards now, and less bullet, point, and just a little bit more relaxed. But today, just roughly, we're going to hit, what we thought about the Browns preseason, anything that really stood out or players that stood out against us, how the coaches did, the chemistry of the team. Next, we'll talk about the roster. Obviously, they had to cut down the roster to 53. And then, obviously, surprise cuts and new acquisitions. We'll talk about that briefly. And then we will both give our predictions for this weekend's game against Tennessee Titans. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Rod, what did you think, and what was your overall impression of the Browns preseason?
Well, I think there were some things that I think people were worried about from the preseason. Worried about Baker's second appearance against the Buccaneers, and worried that some of the wide receivers weren't catching balls, and the offensive line didn't look good, and this and that. But I came away thrilled to death with the way the defense looked. But any team that was out there, first, second, third team, I am so excited about this defensive front and just the way the defense played overall. It really, I think, through all 4 games. I'm so excited to see these guys in action in a real game. I can't wait. I think the offense is going to work itself out because we didn't see a lot of the starters in preseason, and I have no fear about Baker whatsoever. And they've added some additional pieces to the offensive line, and it might take a couple of weeks for the offensive line to find its groove, but with Baker out there, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So for me, it was the defense, and what we say, 14 sacks in the last 2 preseason games.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'll take that anytime.
I'm right up there with you. That Tampa Bay game where, we really saw Olivier Vernon really, kind of, hey, I'm here, and show how much of a factor he was going to be. And then, obviously Myles Garrett's always there in the back of your mind, but then you forget about Sheldon Richardson as well. And like you said, our defense is going to be so dangerous this year. I actually took our defense twice in some fantasy leagues not because just being a Cleveland fan, but because I think that we're really, really going to produce, cause some turnovers, and get the ball back in our offensive's hands. I'm not too surprised by any of the cuts, really, from a defensive standpoint. Definitely glad to see that. Well, let's not talk about that. As far as preseason goes, Mac Wilson had a great preseason. I think Taki really showed out. Greedy Williams, he looked good at times. Definitely room for improvement, but that's to be expected. Nothing that I really didn't expect or was blown away by. I was probably more really happy with how the wide receivers stepped up on the offensive side. Players like Jalen Strong and Braxton Miller, Rashard Higgins did really well during the first preseason game. And then seeing how good our quarterbacks really held up. Garrett Gilbert really did well. He actually made the 53-man roster. We're going to carry 3 quarterbacks into the season with Drew Stanton and Baker. And then Dontrell Hillard, of course, everybody didn't know how well he was going to do with the pressure of being the number 2 guy, with us getting rid of Duke Johnson, trading him away to Houston. I think we're going to be just fine. So definitely optimistic at this point, but definitely feeling positive moving into the first game of the season. It's just a different feeling, I think, for Browns fans in general. We don't really know. We kind of know what we hope we know what to expect coming off of last year, but at the same time are realistic and remember how we can quickly be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just I think the realistic Browns fan sees this team and knows that this team has a chance to do special things, but I don't think most people in Cleveland are just saying, oh, this team's so good we're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I think people realize how hard that is to accomplish, especially in a first season together. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Things can turn around quickly in football, but I'm ready for a special season. I think that's the way most fans are. Most fans are looking at are optimistic for a division title. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where their focus is right now. And I think that's realistic.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I'm just doing some reading right now. Any other players? How do you feel like the coaching staff did?
In the preseason?
Yes.
I think it's just kind of a period of getting used to each other. I mean, I again, if you're just looking at the preseason, you have to be really excited about Steve Wilkes and all the guys on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive side, they're not using the playbook yet, so you really can't really judge anything. You don't know what Todd Monken's effect's going to be because they're not showing that in the preseason.
Right.
We'll find that out week 1 against Tennessee and going forward. So I don't think there's any way to judge the offensive side yet, but the defensive side, I think you have to be excited about the staff. And I just like this coaching staff that's put together. So I have a lot of confidence in these guys, and I think they're gonna do a great job of coaching the players up.
Gotcha. Well, we wrapped up preseason 3-1. That's correct. 3-1. Our only loss against Tampa. Is that right?
Yeah.
So 3-1. Again, preseason really doesn't mean anything. A lot of time for growth, chemistry growth, and for players to obviously push each other to make that 53-man roster. Rod, let's jump into roster cuts and getting down to that 53-man roster. Let me go over very quickly some of the names that were. Let's start off with the terminated contracts was Ray Armstrong, Britton Colquitt, Carl Davis, Brian Winsman. People that were waived that just kind of step out or, shout out to me. Seth DeValve, Willie Harvey, Ishmael Hyman, Greg Joseph, Donnie Lewis Jr. Let's see, who else? Giuseppe, Braxton Miller. I know a lot of people were hoping for big things for him. Different guys, 2 guys that were waived or injured, looks like due to concussion here, were Kyle Callis and Joe Carriage, fullback. On the IR, it was Philip Gaines for a concussion. And then obviously we have our reserved and suspended players in Antonio Callaway, Kareem Hunt, and tight end Rico Gathers. So anything, obviously we did sign some players too, made some last minute trades over the weekend. Anything that kind of stuck out to you, Rod?
Well, I was a little surprised by Ray Armstrong just being a kind of a special team stud, but when I went through before the cuts and made my 53-man, I didn't have Ray Armstrong making the team, so it's not like a huge surprise to me. Seth DeValve, I mean, people might think they're surprised at that. I didn't have him making the team either. Braxton Miller, I thought he was going to make the team, but the trade for Taywan Taylor took care of that. So, I think the one that did catch me off guard was the punter. I did think that Britton Colquitt was going to get the nod, and I know there's a monetary difference, the salary, but Jamie Gillen, I love the guy. The guy's great. To me, when you're going for it in a season, you want the punter who is established, who is consistent, who can kill the ball inside the 20, who what you're getting. And I think the Scottish Hammer is just a little bit rough around the edges. That's all. So I'm a little surprised they're taking, I don't know if it's a huge gamble because the guy's talented as hell. I mean, let's face it.
Balls, Rod. He's busting them.
Oh, I know he is, but Britton Colquitt's an excellent punter. So they really gave up a guy who's very steady, who what you're getting all the time, in favor of Jamie Gillen. So that was a little bit of a surprise for me, but it's not like the guy doesn't deserve the job or anything. So, and again, everybody's been saying it, but when you're talking about punter and kicker, as your surprises, then you really have a pretty solid roster put together.
Will you just go ahead and acknowledge that I was right?
You were right. And we talked about this on prior episodes.
I called them both. I called both Austin Seibert and Jamie Gillen to win.
Yeah, I think we both thought Seibert was gonna get the nod because of his draft position, and it became pretty obvious with the last 2 preseason games. I mean, he just looked like the kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, he just plain won that job. I mean, he just his kicks were perfect, and even on long kicks, he was drilling them from, with no doubt. So he definitely won that job. He deserves it. And I mean, you have to say the same for Gillen. He won the job. So, and congratulations to both of them. It's a little surprising to go with two rookies on a team where the team you kind of feel like they're going for it, but these are not just like undrafted rookies that you're taking a chance on. These are two guys that are really, really talented.
Gotcha. Oh, for sure, and they're guys that we will be able to keep for a long time, and won't be breaking the bank by any means. Not that kickers and punters break the bank, but Yeah. We already mentioned that we brought on Western Kentucky wide receiver Taywan Taylor from Tennessee. We also brought on from Green Bay, imagine that, another Packer, Justin McCray, offensive lineman, 6'3", 317 pounds. I think
this guy's a great story. Go ahead.
What I read did he start like 8 games last year? Is that how many it was? Or was that the guy from no, that was the guy from Buffalo that had started 8 games last season as a rookie.
Yeah, I don't have his breakdown for 17 and 18, but he was with the Packers in 17 and 18. McCray was actually drafted by the Titans in 2014. Didn't make the team and played in the Arena League for 2 or 3 seasons, and then he got a chance with the Packers. With the Packers, he played guard and tackle, and he played under James Campen there, who's the Browns' offensive line coach now. So Campen knows the guy. So I think this is a guy who could play guard and tackle both for the Browns. And look at his size. I mean, he's a big dude. So I think this should definitely be a really solid pickup for the Browns.
The guy I was referring to, Wyatt Teller, coming from Buffalo, he had 7 starts in 2018. He was drafted by the Bills. He dominated at Virginia Tech, and he is a 6'4", 314 pounder. So a lot of good things from him. It seems like the Austin Corbett experiment has been put on hold at this time. But a lot of people want to bring up that we've got to, that's our biggest problem. I really feel like we're going to be okay. I think, just got to give them time, put them in a game situation where they have to mesh. They have to use that chemistry that they got during camp, or that they created during camp amongst another. And, a lot of it, I think Baker's going to really help. Baker's a leader. He's going to let them know where they're slacking and where that he needs help or where they need to do better. And there's a big difference between a preseason and camp, between a big game and a regular season game. So I feel like, obviously right now that would be our biggest worry from the outside looking in, but I think that we will be okay once the season starts.
Yeah, Wyatt Teller was kind of a depth casualty for Buffalo. I think he's going to be the starter. I really do. Just from what I've heard and seen. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be handed the job. He might be it might just be a week-to-week thing for a little bit until somebody stands up, I think Cush is going to start at right guard week 1. And then I think going forward after that, I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing until somebody takes hold of it. I would expect Teller to take over. I really expect him to take over that spot.
Yeah, we've got obviously Greg Robinson, Joe Petonio, J.C. Treader, Eric Cush, and then Chris Hubbard. So, yeah, right there, like you said, Austin Corbett right there at center, Wyatt Teller, and Justin McCray behind Cush. So, also Drew Forbes is in there as well as a rookie. So,
yeah, he's actually on IR now. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, who else is? Yeah, Coach Hubbard Robinson. This Lamb still? I think Lamb is still on the active roster.
Lamb is as well. Yeah, right tackle.
Yeah. So, yeah. When I first looked at the, at the 53-man roster, Sam, that they had, I thought, wow, this is kind of wild. They were carrying 10 offensive linemen,
Yeah.
They had 10 offensive linemen. I think they had like 11 defensive linemen.
Mm.
And I thought, and they were, and they only had, and they had 3 tight ends and they had 5 wide receivers. I thought this is wild, the distribution. And they kind of evened a lot of that out when they did some of the moves. So I think the roster is kind of a lot closer to where they want it now, as far as who they have filling what spaces, what positions. So they've definitely evened things out. I mean, they've got 6 linebackers now versus just 5, and they've got, I think they're, um, I guess they still have 9 or 10 defensive linemen, but they're down to 9. I think they're down to 9 offensive linemen.
Gotcha.
And they've got 4 tight ends, but I don't know. I think, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I think Farrell Brown is probably, his time on the active roster is probably limited. I think he's going to probably be the first guy to go.
Yeah. Something that just came out from clevelandbrowns.com or Cleveland Browns Twitter site is that, Taywan Taylor, he spent Monday learning the new playbook and just absolutely calls this trade to Cleveland a dream come true. So definitely love the positive attitude. And definitely probably looking to get some revenge on Tennessee first game. So definitely like a fairy tale story. Not really fairy tale, I would say. Just an interesting story, definitely for Cleveland for the first week, along with all the other stories that are coming behind it as well. So it's just an amazing and awesome time to be a Cleveland Browns fan. Talking about it amongst coworkers or just people that I run into that, see that I'm wearing and supporting the Browns. It's just a great conversation starter. And definitely people are seeing us as a legitimate threat, which obviously I know that they're a threat, but just seeing that other people that have mocked and laughed for so long, seeing they're like, yeah, it's for real. It's for real. And, it's just really, really awesome to see that. So.
Yeah. What do you think of some of the other moves? The Ricky Seals Jones. I like that move because he's, and I was trying to find it again. I found it last night and then I couldn't find the quote again when I was trying to research for this. But he's one of the top blocking tight ends in the league.
Yeah, I was okay with it. It's not one that I really paid much attention to. The Browns also, here it says that they signed another guy named from the Eagles, Shelton Gibson, to their practice squad. I know that's kind of irrelevant. I just saw that, but it's it's.
I think they needed a blocker. They needed a blocker. I don't know if Farrell Brown was. I don't know enough about him even to know if he's a good blocker or not. He must have been the best they had. I assume that's why they kept him. But I think Ricky Seals Jones is a guy who could end up, getting some targets eventually if Njoku and Demetrius Harris slack off. And I think he's going to be in there when they need a tight end as a blocker. So yeah. I think he's going to get some playing time.
He's undrafted out of A&M. He had 46 receptions for 544 yards and 4 touchdowns in 25 games. He also had time with Freddie Kitchens, so maybe there's a connection there. I was definitely excited to see that we picked up Malik Jefferson from Cincinnati. Got experience there and is used to being in the North, and so. Jefferson was a third rounder out of Texas, and he was an All-American as a junior in 2017. So he was honored with the Butkus Award as well as the nation's top prep linebacker. So I was excited to see that for some depth there.
He had, not to interrupt you, he had 7 special teams tackles last year.
Wow.
So yeah, when you're looking at, I was just thinking he's kind of taking Ray's spot there. Special team stud. I listen to some Cincinnati radio down here just because of where I live, and they were talking about Malik Jefferson. They said he looked kind of stiff on the field in this, and I'm thinking, well, I thought he was really athletic coming out of college.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can coach him up and and get him to play a little bit better. But I think he's going to be great on special teams. I think that's why they picked him up. So I think it's a good move. And the move that kind of had me scratching my head, but I'm just going to kind of leave it to John Dorsey, is this. Kadarrell Hodge that they picked up from the Rams.
Yeah.
Guy's really not played much at all. I think he led the Rams with receptions in the preseason. He 11 catches for 178 yards. He's 6'2", 205, but I think he had like 2 catches last year. So when you think about some of the guys they cut, like Braxton Miller and Willies, and I know Willies is on the practice squad, but some of these other guys that they let go that didn't make the team, and then they pick up a guy like this, they must really like him, right?
Right. Seems like it.
It's just interesting that with all the guys they had, that they end up with Kadarrell Hodge and Taywan Taylor over some of the other guys that we kind of expected.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody else. I really was excited about the production that Devereaux Lawrence was able to produce and show during preseason. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I just said, oh man, he looked incredible.
He had 4 sacks on the preseason, leading the team, and he had 7 tackles that led the Browns defensive linemen.
And he's not starting.
No, he's not starting. He'll definitely be on the second team for sure, behind Sheldon and Larry. But yeah, I mean, what a great problem to have, right?
Yeah.
Number 99 is definitely going to be a problem for a lot of offensive linemen when he comes in. He's just so quick. Like, he was so fast getting off the ball. I just couldn't believe it. So I was really impressed, and it showed that, they were talking about how he was really having good practices, and that carried over from the game. So, what more could you ask for from a coaching and team standpoint? So.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited about him. I can't say that I really know a lot about Daniel Ekuale. I know I know they traded for him for the Saints in 2018, and that he was on the practice squad last year and that. So they obviously like him, and he's another big guy. So defensive tackle. So I wasn't too surprised that with some of the cuts there at defensive tackle. Trevon Coley, nothing against the guy. I mean, he played his butt off last year. He's just not a guy who gets a lot of penetration and is going to really be disruptive. So they have guys now that are going to do that. Right. And there's not going to be a break, because when you take Richardson and Ogunjobi out, you're going to have Devereaux Lawrence in there, and hopefully Ekuale can do similar things, and hopefully the drop-off's not going to be that noticeable.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of fun watching these guys.
So right now, Rod, if you had to say which is better, the Browns' offense or the Browns' defense?
Well, I think if you're looking on paper, I think you're still going to pick the offense. I don't know how you can not pick the offense, but man, after watching the preseason, you almost have to say the defensive line is the strength of this team.
See, I think it's a lot closer than we all think.
I think you're right.
Obviously, we see names like OBJ, Baker, Nick Chubb. We see that, but Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson, Denzel Ward. And then, you've got Christian Kirksey and Joe Schobert, but then you've got also who had outstanding preseason was Mac Wilson, Taki, Greedy Williams. I mean,
Denzel Ward and Terrence Mitchell. Yeah, I mean,
Darius Randall, Morgan Burnett. I mean, I almost want to say that it's with the understanding that our offensive line is kind of in question right now, I'm almost willing to go out on a limb and say our defense is better, which is awesome,
Yeah, I can almost see the defense kind of helping, or not so much. The first word that came to mind was carrying, kind of.
It's definitely close.
Yeah, but I can see the defense kind of helping this offense out, because this offense might need a little bit of time to kind of catch its stride in the first couple of games.
I definitely think our defense is going to have, they're going to have their time to rest in between plays, or not in between plays, in between
series.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, but I think the offensive line is going to come together. I think
Yeah.
you get all these wide receivers out there. Baker's going to find his rhythm pretty quick, and I think Nick Chubb's going to be sick. I think the tight ends are going to have to shake out. I don't know. I think Baker's going to come out. I think they're going to lean a lot on Nick Chubb and the wide receivers early. I think you're going to see a lot of Higgins, Landry, and OBJ and Nick Chubb early. And while they kind of figure things out, I don't think Freddie Kitchens has a lot of faith in David Njoku right now. I don't see him getting a ton of targets early. I think he's going to have to impress in practice. I think Demetrius Harris is probably the same boat, and we'll kind of see what happens there. But I'm excited to see this defense play, especially against that Tennessee offensive line.
I just put out a poll. I just kind of want to see what everybody else is thinking about that. I put who's better, #Browns offense or Browns defense. So we'll kind of see where. And already it's at 4 votes. 75% say Browns offense, and then 25% say Browns defense. But
I would expect it to go offense, but
I don't know though. Like I said, I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say right now, chemistry-wise, I think the Browns defense is better than the Browns offense. So
I could see against Tennessee, I could see the Browns defense having a bigger impact. Let's put it that way.
So going right into that, Rod, let's go ahead and start our predictions and talks with, or about our first game against Tennessee. I think that, God, it's keeping on subject of the defensive line. I think that we are going to absolutely ruin and murder Marcus Mariota. Oh my gosh.
I agree. Yeah.
We're going to give him all kinds of trouble. He might, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I have been hearing that there's been a lot of talk about how surprisingly equal the play of Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota is, at the QB position in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if Marcus started off really, really slow and Ryan Tannehill actually made an appearance during the game.
It could happen, and we'll see how many times Marcus Mariota gets sacked. How many times it's hard for him to get up. And again, we're not talking about somebody getting hurt because we don't want that to happen.
No, but I just know how the Browns are going to Rod. Actually, right now, sorry, I want to point this out. The poll's been up for 3 minutes. We have 57 votes, and the defense is winning 56% to 44%.
Okay, so people did watch the preseason.
Yes,
and yeah.
No, and again, back to what you're saying. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying, but I could definitely see Garrett and just the whole defense coming out really, really hungry and definitely wanting to make a statement early. So
I think they're going to get several sacks in this game.
Oh,
several.
I do too.
Put the over under at what? 5.5.
I was going to say 4.
4.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say 4. Let's say 4 sacks.
I'll take the over.
Okay. All right. I'll take. Okay. And then what about turnovers, interceptions, or fumbles? I think our secondary causes at least. I want to say 2 interceptions.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking 2 the same. So I'll just agree with you there. But I think Nick Chubb's going to have a big day. I think he's going to get a lot of shots. Hopefully the offensive line gels quickly and he plays well. But I don't know. I think Chubb's going to be big, and I think Baker's going to find his rhythm with somebody, whether it's Higgins or OBJ. I think one of those guys will have a pretty darn good day too.
Some of the comments, Rod, that are coming in off this poll is that they're concerned about the O-line, kind of what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, we know what we're talking about. So
right. I like the guys they're carrying on the O-line now, and I think it's going to shake out. I think it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
I really like Wyatt Teller. I think he's going to end up, between him, Cush, and McCray. I think one of those guys will step up at guard.
Yeah.
I think Corbett's going to end up, being the heir apparent at center at some point.
At Wavy Eddie, another guy, the only thing that makes me pick the defense is our O-line. So apparently we're definitely not the only ones seeing that as being a somewhat of a possible issue going into the regular season. But like you said, like I said, and we both agreed that we think it'll just be a matter of time. Baker will take charge and lead them accordingly and let them know where they're lacking and where they need to step up. And, hopefully everything comes together. So
yeah. I have a trivia question for you, Sam.
Oh, God. Okay, here we go.
All right. Let's see. What Browns tight end was named to the Pro Bowl following the 2013 season? His third in the NFL. That's his third season, not his third Pro Bowl season.
Cameron.
Yes, sir. Jordan Cameron.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Wow. Rod, you had told me that you had these trivia questions coming, and I was like, you have to remember that anything before 89 is probably not gonna know, and you have the definite advantage over there. So
yeah, I skipped one that's from let's see, shoot, I can't even find it now. 1988, I think. Oh, I can't even find it now. Never mind. We won't take any more time up with it. But from a player who played back in the 80s and 90s, so I just skipped that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, real quick, let's go ahead and get our score predictions out there. Obviously, looking forward to recapping the game on the next episode of the Browns Blitz, which will be coming to you every Tuesday. We will record on Tuesday nights, and it will be posted on Wednesday mornings. We want to give time, just in case the Browns, because we do have some primetime games, whether that be on Monday, Thursday, or Sunday, to be able to talk about those amongst each other, get some good conversation going, and then relaying that back in our podcast. So again, thank you again to all of our listeners, but our podcast will start up every week Tuesday night, and then we will be dropped or recorded Tuesday night and then dropped Wednesday morning. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and then also at the Grilling Truth. Rod, what do you think the score of the game will be?
I have the Browns winning. Surprise, surprise. 24-10.
Okay.
I think the offense is going to have its moments where it's kind of, not totally in sync. So I think Nick Chubb's going to run for a touchdown. Baker's going to toss a couple. And, I think the defense is going to play very well and kind of, keep Tennessee in check. So I'm going to go kind of conservative, 24-10.
Okay. I actually have us going 23-10 because I think that we are going to get a safety against Tennessee where we will sack Marcus Mariota in the end zone. I've got Baker Mayfield scoring a touchdown on the ground. I've got him throwing to OBJ another touchdown. I think OBJ will get roughly around 123 yards. And then I've got Nick Chubb rushing for one touchdown as well, going over 100 at 106.
Very similar. We think alike.
So,
all right, we'll see if the safety happens.
Yeah, I think it will. I really do. The way Marcus likes to scramble, and then he will not be able to, get away from our fast, hungry defensive linemen. And I think our defense is really going to eat them up. I really do. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, real quick before we end, you and I talked about it. I talked about how disappointed I was to see your tweet about this because I was so high on it. It is the 2019 chicken sandwich competition between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. If you follow me at all at the Sam Mad, you saw that chicken sandwich from Popeyes was so good that I ate two of them right on the spot. I have always been a Chick-fil-A guy. I love Chick-fil-A. I love the service, love the quality of the food. I was not and I don't like Popeyes. Let's put that out there as well. I'm not a Popeyes fan. I don't really like their chicken. And then so, being the foodie that I am, I went out, bought a sandwich there, ate it on site, and was absolutely blown away to the point where I got back up in line and got another one. And let's also say that this line was insane. It was it was every bit of 30 minutes. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. But the hype was definitely real and worth the wait for the second sandwich. Rod, would you like to share, after I kind of already alluded to what your thought was and opinion on the Popeye's chicken sandwich, but also please, give the full situation that you shared with me the other day on the phone of why you made this decision.
Yeah, I gave the edge to the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and here's why. My wife and son went to Popeyes to get lunch to bring back so we could try these sandwiches that everybody was going nuts over. Okay, so they come back, and my wife comes in the door and she's like, well, we're going to be splitting a sandwich because they'll only let you order 2. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm getting half a chicken sandwich from Popeyes, half an order of coleslaw because that's all we were allowed to have. Okay, so I'm already not real happy about this thing. We you let your son have the whole sandwich. So we split half, one sandwich. So I only got a half a sandwich. So my first thought is before you even had a bite, I'd rather have a whole Chick-fil-A sandwich than half a Popeye sandwich any day anyways. So I had it, and honestly, the sandwich is good. I gave an edge to Chick-fil-A, and with talking to Sam, I think it might be the pickles. Sam likes the sandwich without pickles.
Pickles are gross.
Yeah, and I really think the pickles on the Chick-fil-A sandwich add something to it, and I don't think the pickles on the Popeye sandwich add anything at all. So I think that's why I was able to, under the circumstances, give the edge to Chick-fil-A, because I was already disappointed in the idea that Popeyes was only going to give an order for 3 people 2 sandwiches. So, I have to be honest. I also didn't get to eat my half sandwich until my wife brought it home from Popeyes, which was a good 20 minutes or so, and Sam ate his right there at the restaurant. So that could be a difference too. But if I ate one right there and I got a whole sandwich, maybe my thought process would be different. But when I'm told that half a sandwich is my lunch, I'm not real happy right off the bat, guys. That's just how it's going to be.
So off the record, you're blaming your wife, which I'm blaming your wife too.
I'm blaming Popeyes for only giving us 2 sandwiches.
They're so good. They're so good. Again, I don't really understand the whole 2 limit thing. I guess they want everybody to have a fair chance at a sandwich, whatever, fine. You know what? You should have bought 2 of them. You should have gone as well. You should have taken the time off work.
We didn't know they had this limit.
You yourself should have bought 2 yourself.
Well, we didn't know about the limit, or we probably would have done something different.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was just my experience. So yeah, I wasn't real thrilled with it. So I like Chick-fil-A. I'm like you, Sam. I like it, and our other son works at Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is just a super place. So I like Chick-fil-A. So
my pleasure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when I'm up there later this month, we're going to go together. We're going to eat them both, and then we're going to decide, and then we'll talk about it. So that's what we'll do.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. I'm always up for a chicken sandwich.
I'm always up for another visit up to the great state of Ohio as well. So, guys, it's been a great episode. Thanks for listening. Again, you can check us out at the Browns Blitz on Twitter, and you can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, and The Grueling Truth. It's been Rod and Sam. You can find us on Twitter at CleeRodB and at the Sam Mad. We look forward to hopefully a Browns win to talk about next Tuesday night, and we will catch you then. So have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend.